Hafiz Edmund Aglo-Talawani, the Committee on Rules hereby calls this meeting to order. For the record, today is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021, and the time is now 3:10 p.m. At this time, COR Director, Core Director, Ms. Mary Maravilla, please take roll call of the members.
Chairperson Vice Speaker Barnes.
Gagia.
Vice Chair Legislative Secretary Shelton.
Buenas Hafide, colleagues.
Speaker Terlahi. Senator Nelson. Senator San Augustine. Senator Rajel. Senator Pito Terlahi. Senator Perez. Senator Frank Blas. Senator Mary Camacho Torres. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Director Mary Maravilla. Vice Chair Shelton, on the motion to excuse.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I move to excuse members not present for today's meeting.
Is there a second? Second by Majority Leader Nelson. A motion has been made to excuse members not present. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. On the ratification of the core meeting minutes, does the chair hear a motion to ratify the core meeting minutes from April 19th, 2021, which can be found, colleagues, on the Google Drive folder for this meeting titled 01 Meeting Minutes? So moved by Vice Chair Legislative Secretary Shelton. Is there a second by Senator Mary Torres? All those in favor? Aye. Hearing no objections, motion carries. Core business, the first item on the core business is an update on document tracking. Our legislative secretary will now provide her report, which can be found, colleagues, on the Google Drive for this meeting titled 02 Legislative Secretary Report. Vice Chair Secretary Shelton, please proceed.
Situus Masi, Madam Chair, good afternoon, everyone. The Office of the Legislative Secretary hereby reports the following. As of yesterday, May 18th, 2021, appointments by Imagahagan Guahan. There are 44 appointments submitted by Governor Lulian Guerrero. The status of these appointments are as follows. 1 appointment confirmed during the February 2021 session, 14 appointments confirmed during the March 2021 session, and 18 appointments confirmed during the April 2021 session, with a total of 21 appointments confirmed, 23 appointments confirmed by Legislaturan to date. Of the remaining 21 appointments, there are some pending confirmation, 1 appointment was withdrawn, and none have extended beyond the authorized 90-day term limit. Legislatura received 1 zone change application, and Legislatura received no rules and regulations as of today. Situus Masi, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Legislative Secretary and Vice Chair Shelton. Next item on the business is the ratification of referrals of bills and appointments are indicated each of the corresponding logs, which can be found on the Google Drive titled number 3, Legislative Item Logs. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referrals? So move. On the referrals? Okay, let me get a second first, and then I'll go ahead and open it for discussion. There was a second by Majority Leader Nelson. On the motion, there is discussion. Senator Perez.
Situus Masi, Madam Chair. Just from last core meeting, there was a question regarding the referrals of the Unarmed Combat Commission, and I did some research, and it shows that it is under the purview of Department of Revenue and Taxation. So I guess if I can request perhaps the re-referral to my committee.
Duly noted. Are there any other discussions? If not, on the motion? Hearing. Not at this time. Not at this time. I will take it up further under advisement. That's why I duly noted it. Okay? So, next, we are still on the ratifications of the referrals and of the appointments. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referrals for bills? Oh, I'm sorry. So on that motion, I do apologize. On the referrals of the bills, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. On the referral of appointments, which can also be found on the Google Drive Title III on the legislative logs. Does the chair hear a motion? So moved. Second by Senator, motion by Vice Chair Secretary Shelton and seconded by Senator Mary Torres. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. We are now on resolutions. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referral of resolutions? Thank you, Secretary Shelton, Vice Chair, seconded by Senator Mary Torres. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. We are now on to move for the consideration of items eligible for the placement of the session agendas. Members, the committee reports for the following items have been duly filed and met. The Committee on Rules committee report deadline on May 13th. And just for the record, I'm just going to read the bill numbers and resolution numbers. Bill number 46-36 COR, introduced by Speaker Terlahi. Bill number 47-36 COR, as amended by the Committee on Air Transportation. Resolution number 56-36 COR, as amended by the author, Vice Speaker Tina Muña Barnes. Bill number 65-36 COR, as introduced by Secretary Amanda Shelton. Bill number 71-36 COR, as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research and Planning. As introduced, 71-36 COR. Then Bill number 74-36 COR, as introduced by Senator Joe E. San Augustine. Bill number 85-36 COR, as introduced by Senator Joe San Augustine. Bill number 89-36 COR, as amended by the Committee on General Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, Senator Joe San Augustine. And Bill number 90-36 COR, as introduced by Senator James Moylan. And then nominations for consideration on the session agenda were Dr. Lisa Baza, Angelina LaPay, Maureen A. San Nicolas, and Corazon Montelano. The reason why I've noted that members, just for record purposes, I will note that the following items that have been submitted to the Committee on Rules and is currently in review is Bill number 99-36 LS, as introduced by Vice Speaker Tina Muña Barnes. The appointments of Lawrence J. M. Alcario, Roberta M. Abade, Lena Lynn L. Borja. Bill number 102-36, as introduced by Senator Joanne Brown. Bill number 110-36, as introduced by Speaker Therese M. Terlahi. Bill number 108-36 COR, as introduced by Senator Mary Torres, and number 109-36 COR, as amended, as also introduced by Senator Mary Torres. So these following items is currently in review, and the Committee on Rules has received them. So at this time, I will recognize my Vice Chair, Legislative Secretary Shelton, for motions to be placed on the session agenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I move to place resolution number 56-36 COR as amended by the author, introduced by Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Clinton E. Rigel, Jose Pito Terlahi, James C. Moylan, Frank F. Blas Jr., relative to expressing the utmost support of House Resolution 279, acknowledging that the United States Supreme Court's decisions in the insular cases and the territorial incorporation doctrine are contrary to the text and history of the United States Constitution, rest on racial views and stereotypes from the era of Plessy v. Ferguson that have long been rejected, are contrary to our nation's most basic constitutional and democratic principles, and should be rejected as having no place in United States constitutional law. That is resolution number 56-36 COR as amended to be placed on the session agenda.
Is there a second? Thank you. There has been a second by Senator Mary Torres and Majority Leader Nelson. On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Vice Chair, you're still recognized.
Thank you
Secretary
very
Nelson.
much, Madam Chair, and I move to place Bill number 99-36 LS as introduced, an act to add section 90.300 to chapter 90 of Title 9 Guam Code Annotated, relative to granting indigent inmates the ability to acquire their constitutional right to legal representation, creating the Anafa Malik for Inmates Fund, and to cite this act as the Anafa Malik for Inmates Act of 2021, introduced by Tina Rose Muña Barnes, James C. Moylan, Jose Pito Terlahi, Joe S. San Augustin, Amanda L. Shelton, Clinton E. Rigel, Frank Blas Jr., and V. Anthony Atta onto the session agenda.
Is there a second?
Isn't that the bill you said was not yet reviewed by the Committee on Rules?
Bill
Not yet
99?
uploaded? Yeah,
Bill 99 is on.
it's not on the agenda. No, that's the one you said it's not yet been, it's been filed but not reviewed.
I do apologize. Duly noted, Senator. I will go ahead and accept that. Thank you very much, Speaker, for that recognition. Duly noted on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And on your behalf, lastly, to add on to the session agenda, Bill number 83-36 COR, introduced by Tina Rose Muña Barnes and James C. Moylan, and to note for the record that the title should read an act to amend section 5101, 5104, 5107, 5109, 5112, 5114, and 5118 to repeal section 5103 and 5105, and to add section 5119 and 5120, all to chapter 5 of title 16 Guam Code Annotated, relative to the size, weight, and load limitations and restrictions of certain vehicles. Onto the session agenda. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Again, I don't see that submitted. So duly noted on that. Vice Chair, Secretary Shelton, do you have any from your committee?
Yes, I'd like to move Bill number 74-36 COR onto the session agenda. This is sponsored by Joe S. San Augustin, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Jose Pito Terlahi, Clinton E. Rigel, Mary Camacho Torres. An act to amend Section 26203.2 of Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated, relative to permanently increasing the gross threshold for limited exemptions on the business privilege taxes for certain small businesses, and to further repeal Section 26203.3 of Chapter 26, Title 11, Guam Code Annotated.
Is there a second?
Yes, number 6 on the list.
There is a second by Senator Torres. All those, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you very
Secretary
much.
Shelton, Vice Chair, you recognize.
I'd like to move Bill number 85-36 COR onto the session agenda, sponsored by Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend Section 15301 of Article 3 and Section 15407, both of Article 4, Chapter 15, Title 4, Guam Code Annotated, relative to reaffirming the independence of the Guam Ethics Commission.
Is there a second? Second by Majority Leader. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on to the session agenda Bill number 89-36 COR as amended by the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing, sponsored by Joe S. San Augustine, an act to amend Section 4703D12 and Section 4703G of Chapter 4, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the threshold of the total cost of purchase from $300,000 to $350,000, and to exclude other costs imposed onto the purchase of a home, and to remove the 5 years provision on the eligible transaction amount adjustment.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Sabina Perez. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Vice Chair, you still recognized?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I move to place Bill number 65-36 COR onto the session agenda, sponsored by Amanda L. Shelton, Mary Camacho Torres, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Jose Pito Terlahi, and Sabina Flores Perez, an act to amend subsections A4, C1, D2, and D4, all of Section 71201.1, Chapter 7, Title 16, Guam Code Annotated, relative to removing the date of expiration on removable windshield placards and extending the period of time for physician certification on temporary removable windshield placards.
Is there a second? Second by Majority Leader Nelson. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Vice Chair, you still recognized?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Lastly, I'd like to move Bill number 71-36 COR onto the session agenda as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement and Statistics, Research and Planning, sponsored by Amanda L. Shelton, Talina Cruz Nelson, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Mary Camacho Torres, and Joanne Brown, an act to add a new Section 5013 to Part A of Article 1, Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to adopting a procurement policy in favor of women-owned businesses, and to cite this act as the Support for Women-Owned Businesses Act.
Is there a second by Majority Leader Nelson? Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Anything else, Vice Chair?
That's all for now, Madam Chair. Seduce Mossy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for covering, Vice Chair. I will now recognize the speaker. You are recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to place Bill number 46-36 COR as introduced. It's introduced by Therese M. Terlahi, Jose Pito Terlahi, Talina Cruz Nelson, Christopher M. Duenas. It's an act to amend 66212C of Chapter 66, Title 21, Guam Code Annotated, relative to encouraging construction of homes by extending the validity of a building permit for a minimum of 12 months.
Is there a second? Thank you. Seconded by Senator Paris. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Speaker, you're still recognized.
Yes, I'm not moving at this time, but just giving notice, I guess, that I do intend to move Bill number 110, Bill 110-36, introduced by Teresa M. Terlai, Talina Cruz Nelson. It's an act to amend Section 41649 to Article 16, Chapter 4, Division 1, Title 26, Guam Administrative Rules and Regs, to amend Section 67.308.1 of Article 3, Chapter 67, Title 9, and to amend Section 126050 of Article 6, Chapter 12, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to allowing electronic transmission of prescriptions for Schedules 2, 3, 4, and 5 substances. So
Thank
that
you.
bill, if it's cleared by core, yeah, I do intend to move that one.
Thank you, Speaker. Duly noted on that one. Is there anything else, ma'am?
I just want to also, it's not my bill, but our committee is working on reporting out Bill number 36-36. It is, sorry. An act to authorize, it's introduced by Senator Joe S. San Augustine. It's an act to authorize a commercial submerged land license between the government of Guam and Teleguam Holdings, LLC, doing business as GTA for the purpose of landing submarine cable at Lumpeng, Tamuning, Guam. I just want to give some notice that we're trying to get that reported out of the committee in the next day or two, and we'll leave it up to the author to move it on to this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted, Madam Speaker. Any appointments, Madam Speaker? Appointments at this time?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to move the nomination as reported out by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture, the nomination of Angelina Marie C. Lope to serve as a member of the Guam Board of Social Work with the recommendation to do confirm.
Is there a second? There is a second by Vice Chair Shelton. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Speaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues. And finally, I'd like to move from the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture, the report of the nomination of Maureen A. St. Nicholas to serve as a member, NASW Guam Chapter Representative of the Guam Board of Social Work with the recommendation to do confirm.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Paris. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much, Speaker. Next I have is Senator Sabina. I apologize. Majority, I apologize. Majority Leader Nelson, you are recognized. Please proceed with the appointments, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have the appointment of, there we go. Dr. Lisa Baza Cruz to move on to the session agenda. The Committee on do you want to read the whole thing? The Committee on Education, Self-Determination, and Historic Preservation, Infrastructure, Border Safety, Federal and Foreign Affairs, and Maritime Transportation reports out the nomination of Dr. Lisa Baza Cruz to serve as a member of the EDD representative of the Guam Commission for Educator Certification with the recommendation to do confirm.
Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Secretary Shelton. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Majority Leader?
And then, thank you, Madam Chair. Just as a notice, we are also looking to move the member of the General Public Representative of the Guam Academy Charter School Council, Mr. Lawrence J. Alcaro, as soon as that clears Committee on Rules, to include also the Committee at Large Representative of the Guam Commission for Educators Certification, Mrs. Roberta M. Abade, and to serve as a member guidance counselor, representative of the Guam Commission for Educator Certification, Ms. Leanna Lynn L. Borja.
Majority.
Pending the Committee on Rules clearance.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Duly noted, and the reports are in being reviewed. Cesar Samasi.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, if I may,
Please.
just to alert that we do anticipate completing Bill number 87-36, which is sponsored by Mary Camacho Torres, myself and Tina Rose Muña Barnes, which is an act adding new Article 4 to Chapter 73, Division 7, Title 5 GCA, and to amend subsection 6603 Charlie Act, Article Chapter 6, Title 11 Guam Code annotated, and to further repeal subsection Article 6, Chapter 6, Title 11 Guam Code annotated relative to authorizing asset forfeiture for the Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency, and to further establishing a customs local forfeiture account that is circulating. So we're looking to, I think the sponsor has a substitute that they'd like to include. Also, Bill number 83-36, which is sponsored by Tina Rose Muña Barnes and Senator Moylan, James Moylan, which is an act to amend subsection 5118, 5101, 5104, 5107, 5109, 5112, 5114, and subsection 5120 to repeal subsections 5103 and subsection 5105, and to add subsection 5119, and all to Chapter 5 of Title 16 GCA relative to the size, weight, and load limitations and restrictions of certain vehicles. So those committee reports are circulating now, and will be, after your review, will be available should they like to, the sponsors of the bills like to move it for this session agenda.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Duly noted. Next I'll have is Senator Sabina Parrish. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to place on the session agenda the nomination of Corazon Montellano from the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor Procurement, Statistics, Research and Planning to serve as a member of the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board of Directors with a recommendation to do confirm.
What is that name again?
Corazon Montellano, it's number 4. It's actually the second page.
Yes. Is there a second? There's a second by the Vice Chair. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none. Motion carries. Senator Paris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do intend to place on the agenda once it clears, once we submit and it clears from Committee on Rules, Bill 104, and it's as amended by the committee. It's an act to amend Section 6703, 6802, 6805, all of Chapter 6, Title 11 Guam Code annotated relative to payment requirements for the cigarette stamp tax. And then a second bill that I would like to place once it's submitted and clears is Bill 116-36, as amended by the committee. It's an act to amend Sections 51202A, 51204, and 51207A, all of Chapter 51, Title 10, Guam Code annotated, and to amend Section 40115C of Chapter 40, Title 5, Guam Code annotated, and to amend Section 77114.3 of Chapter 77, Title 21, Guam Code annotated, relative to enhancing agencies' capacity to address illegal dumping.
Duly noted, Senator Parrish. Is there anything else?
Nothing else. That concludes.
Thank you. Senator Richel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing to move at this time, but I would like to note that if my committee is able to complete the committee report on Bill 134-36 COR, that if they're able to report that out on time, then that's something I would move at that
Yeah,
time.
thank you. Senator Richel, could you just read the title for the record, please?
Sure. It's Bill 134-36 COR, an act to amend Section 60354 of Article 3, Chapter 60, Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to removing the minimum acreage for protection of farms.
Thank you. Duly noted. Is there anything else, sir? Any appointments? Thank you very much, Senator Clint. Senator Mary Torres, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Vice Speaker, I don't have any bills to move before for the committee agenda, but I do want to note for the record that I intend to move for the placement of Bill 108-36 COR on the floor as amended by the Committee on Air Transportation, Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens. This bill was introduced by myself, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Amanda L. Shelton, Talina Cruz Nelson, Jose Pito Terlahi, Joe S. San Agustin, Frank Loss Jr., James C. Moylan, V. Anthony Atta, and Christopher M. Duenas. It is an act to amend sections 1302, 1308, and 1310B1A, and to add a new section 1313 to Article 3, all of Chapter 1, Title 26, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations, and to amend Section 4201C of Article 2, Chapter 4, Title 19, Guam Code Annotated, relative to streamlining adoption policies and procedures in Guam.
Thank you. I am made aware that, yes, the committee report was submitted, but duly noted it's still under review.
Yes.
Uh,
And a second item, I also want to indicate that I intend to move on the floor pending clearance by CORE. And legal review is Bill number 109-36 COR as amended by the Committee on Air Transportation, Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens.
Please read the title, Senator, just for the record.
Thank you. This is an act to amend Section 13502A of Article 5, Chapter 13, Title 19, Guam Code Annotated, relative to expanding the Newborn Infant Safe Haven Act to include 911 service providers, and to further amend Section 13505 of Article 5, Chapter 13, Title 19, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the inclusion of adoption agencies in the chain of custody for infants relinquished under the Newborn Infant Safe Haven Act, and to require the distribution of materials attached hereto as Exhibits A to D, and to further require the adoption and transmittal of written policy and procedures in accordance with the Newborn Infant Safe Haven Act.
Duly noted, Senator Torres. Is there anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Pito Terlaicogua Tata. Senator Frank Blas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move to place Bill number 47-36 COR as amended by the Committee on Air Transportation, Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens, and a bill by V. Anthony Atta, an act to add a new subsection 9117 to Article 1 of Chapter 9, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to transferring control of the Tourist Attraction Fund Grants Program to the Guam Visitors Bureau.
Is there a second? Is there a second? There is a second by Senator Mary Torres. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator Blas, I'll still recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I also move Bill 90-36 CR by James C. Moylan onto the session agenda as an act to amend subsection 5248 of Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to requiring monthly reports and justification summaries when purchases are made through a sole source emergency procurement process.
Bill number 90-36 COR has been submitted and accepted and uploaded. Is there a second? There's a second by Senator Torres. Is there an objection? Is there an objection to Bill 90-36? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator Blas, do you have anything else?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I have three more items. First off, the next item is for consideration, although there's been no committee reports submitted, but if there's the opportunity that the reports are submitted and uploaded onto, I would move to place Bill number 56-36 COR by Senator James C. Moylan, is an act to add a subsection 6110D to Chapter 6, Title 3, Guam Code Annotated, relative to requiring the submittal of a drug test by those seeking an elected public office, as for consideration onto the agenda. There hasn't been a committee report or anything, ma'am. I'm just going to go ahead and move, just in case. They had asked me to do it.
Duly noted, Senator Blas. Is there anything else?
Yes,
Senator?
Miss. Yes, ma'am. Okay. The next one, I move for consideration. No committee report has yet been submitted, but there should be one that's ready for consideration on the session agenda. Is Bill number 106-36 COR, an act introduced by James C. Moreland, Joe S. San Augustine, Jose Piro Telay, and Frank F. Blas Jr., which is an act to add a subsection 60109.1 I1I and subsection 60109.1 I1J to the Chapter 60, Title 10, Guam Code annotated relative to including police precincts and government offices to the list of exceptions where an authorized individual shall not openly carry a firearm or carry a concealed firearm. Again, ma'am, this is for consideration.
Just want to make sure I get the number correct, Senator Blas.
106-36, ma'am.
And the committee, it's,
The one and the committee.
it's Senator Pito Tulahi's committee. Duly noted,
Thank you.
Senator Blas.
Last one, Madam Speaker.
Please proceed.
Notwithstanding the, hang on. Is notwithstanding the veto of the governor and the failure to override the veto by the body, is moved to place vetoed bill number 11-36 on the session agenda for reconsideration by the body.
If you have the title, just read it for the record. I know it's a veto bill, but if you have it.
Yes, ma'am, hang on. I gotta find for the red mark on my, Okay. It's an act to amend subsection 19405B and C of Article 4, Chapter 19, Title 10, Guam Code annotated relative to requiring legislative authorization to extend the declaration of a state of public health emergency and to be known as the Restoration of Separation of Powers Act. That has been
No,
vetoed.
it is a veto bill. Thank you. Duly noted, Senator Blas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
It's already,
Yeah.
will be noted in the report.
Hello, Madam Speaker. My thumbs aren't fast enough.
Is that your last one, Senator
No,
Blas?
ma'am. No, ma'am. Oh, okay, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move for the consideration of to place Bill number 102-36 COR by Senators Joanne Brown, Therese M. Talai, and Tello T. Taidagui, an act to add a new subsection 8103D, 8103.1, and 8107D, all of Chapter 8, and to amend subsection 43122A of Article 1, Chapter 43, all of Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to increasing public access to information on government meetings, deliberations, and decision-making by requiring broadcasting of public meetings and notice of agenda items, and this has been the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing. Although a committee report hasn't been filed, I wish to move that for consideration on the floor, just in case the committee report has been filed and uploaded into the system.
Duly noted, Senator Blas.
Thank you, ma'am.
So you are done.
Wait, let me check.
Okay, thank you. What was that, number 102?
Bill 102-36, ma'am.
102-36, Jose Masi, Senator Blas, brother. Colleagues, a draft session agenda has been provided to each of you. No, I'm just going to note right now, we are now on the item adoption of the session agenda with the placement of these bills and resolutions to the second reading file and this appointment under the legislative, is there a motion to adopt? So moved by Majority Leader. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Mary Torres. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Colleagues, we are now on item number 6, extension of remarks. Anyone have any extension of remarks? If not, Vice Chair, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we adjourn today's meeting.
On that motion, is there a second? Second by Majority Leader. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. We adjourn at 3:50 p.m. Thank you.